Is a capital city different from any other city to work in, for example?
I mean, a capital city is just like the power center. So, I mean, the new policies, the new information, a lot of it comes out of here, and a lot of the less predictable things, because politics is determined by humans, and like they've got to say it for us to know what is the new policy. So, I mean, it's more the jobs dictate where I live than any thinking about capital cities. And like capital cities need journalists because of what I just said. So I would say it's more to do with that. I mean, I've lived in, Wisconsin, right outside of Chicago at Northwestern. I've lived in Nanjing, which is a city in southern China. I've lived in Shanghai. I've lived in Beijing, and now I've lived in Brasilia. So there's a good mix there. I mean, I would say that living in capital cities, uh, I mean, just to bring it back to architecture, I mean, I get to enjoy some of the best architecture in the world because a lot of these places, that invest in striking architecture or iconic architecture are the capitals because, I don't know, it's some weird sort of branding almost. So, like in Beijing, I used to always commute on a scooter. And back then you could drive right by Tiananmen Square, right between the gate with the Mao picture and the square. And I used to do that every single day on my way to work. And I mean, it really
You're talking about
makes
Chang'an,
you,
right?
yeah.
You
And it really
can't
makes you,
anymore?
no, they, towards the end of when I was there, they outlawed it. You can bicycle past now, but you can't,
Wow.
no motorized scooters.
Okay.
It's a safety thing. They're concerned, obviously about attacks and things like that. Was an attack, but that was a car. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with the scooter rule. Um, and it's just, it really, that imprints on you like, wow, I am in this place that is, unique in the world. And there's a reason I'm here as a journalist. Like, and it impresses on you like, I mean, it is the image everybody knows of China. And it's like, wow, I'm really here living it firsthand. Um, and, in Brasilia here, I've had two different commutes because we moved offices, but every day I would, when I first moved here, I would walk by the Don Bosco Church, which is this famous church that is made all out of these like tiny pieces of blue glass. And
Oh,
so over the course of the day, it's like lit up differently. And it creates a very cool effect inside. And I used to get to walk by that every day. And now when I used to go to the office, I again have to walk through the equivalent of Chang'anjia, like
Okay.
right past the government buildings. And, you look down and you can see Congress with the two bowls and all the Niemeyer architecture and all the ministries lined up on the sides. And it's a longer walk, but it's cool. It's like every day, you get reminded, oh, yeah, I am in the Capitol. It's right there. And
Is there something
so
striking about that architecture? Do you find it like
you're
sort
talking
of
about Brazil, right?
yeah, Brasilia right now? Like, is there something overwhelming about it, or what does it evoke in you? Or does
um,
it evoke anything?
I don't know. It's like I always refer to it as like Brasilia is living in like Disney's Tomorrowland. Like it's like what people thought the future would be back in the 60s or the 50s. Um, and like literally, yeah, I think it does look like some of that Disney stuff built way back then at Disney World or something that like this is what the future will be like. Um, so I mean, it is. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like it does impress upon you that this is a place with a history, and it's not the same as everywhere else in the world. It doesn't look the same as anywhere else in the world. But in terms of what it makes me feel, I guess showing up, I was just surprised how much smaller things are than I thought. This Niemeyer architecture, like you see it in pictures, and it seems so majestic and huge and these big, you know, surfaces and
And
things like that.
concrete
And then you see
swirls, yeah.
it and it's like, oh, it's actually kind of, small.
Cute.
It's like compared to like the US Capitol building, which is gigantic in comparison to anything here. So I found that pretty interesting. And I don't know, it's interesting to be in a place where it has a somewhat cohesive visual style, where they let Niemeyer come in and, you know, and work with the same landscape architect and I forget the other one. And they like set the standards for the city. And if it's shaped like an airplane, and if you're in the wings of the airplane, where I live, where most of the residential is, there are certain rules you have to follow, like the ground floors. Nobody can live on the ground floor. Basically, all the ground floors are pillars that you can see through. So like, you know, and all the buildings have to be 6 stories tall or less. And like, it creates this kind of cohesion that it's like, almost like, am I in a college campus? Like what is going on here? So that's interesting about Brasilia. And the other thing I will just say is that it's not completely uniform. There's some very interesting things that have kind of just sprouted up freeform around this, and the kind of messier development that's actually also, I think, equally interesting, this kind of contrast. Like 2 roads away is where, when they were building the city, it's a, you know, made up city. It's I forget what the term is, but, you know, there are only so many capitals that they picked. Like, we're going to build a capital in this random place. Mm-hmm. And I've been to a lot of them. I've been to Abuja in Nigeria is one of them. Washington, D.C. is one of them. Brasilia is one of them. I guess I need to go to Canberra in Australia. And like, there's like Naypyidaw in Myanmar. And what was I going to say about that? But it's kind of like they always envision it in a certain way, and it's always supposed to be a model city, and then how it actually happens is a bit different. So they created it in the middle of like these arid highlands where, you know, half the year it's extremely dry. And, you know, they built these kind of shanty cities for the workers when they were building the city. And 2 streets away is where like the engineer families and the architect families lived. And they just decided, we're going to build our houses here. And you go over there and it's like, they knocked down a lot of the shanty towns, but these kind of more middle-class people had more clout. Yeah. And they're like, you're not going to knock down our houses. And so it's this weird mishmash of strange architecture, and people built however they felt like, in huge houses and tiny houses, all like put together. And there's always a lane for like driving, and then a lane of like trees and like nature between. And it's like 3 rows of this. And it's just such a bizarre, like mishmash of completely everything from completely ugly to completely like unique, beautiful architecture in there. It's really pretty strange. And that's one of the things that's not symmetrical. If you go up to the north side, like that doesn't exist, because for whatever reason, they're like, we're going to build our shit right here.